to the stream here. Today I'm going to be jumping on, let me make sure that I'm actually streaming, but today I'm going to be jumping on and playing some Age of Empires 4, but more importantly, modding in the new civs. So if you haven't seen this before, this is the Age of Empires 4 content editor. And this is the Micro Mayhem mod, how I have it set up. So yeah, like I mentioned, the main goal for today is to add the new civs. So yeah, I have no idea what a live stream modding a game will look like. I don't really have a plan other than the goal here. So hopefully we can get these added pretty quick. So let's see. Okay, and if you are in the chat, feel free to jump in with any questions, or if you have any suggestions for the mod, just let me know. I'll try to pay attention to that as well. So kind of going over how the mod works, it's all based on timers. So if the timer hasn't started, we know that it's going into the first round. And if a timer is at 0, we check to see, right, if it was in pre-round before, then that means we're starting a round. Otherwise, if it's in a round, we start the pre-round phase. We know that a round just ended. So it's all based off of just the objective timer, basically. So now looking at what we need to do to add a civ, I think the first step is to, if we go to, there's a setup buildings, yes, setup buildings method here. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to go through each player in the players list. And it's going to create the standard buildings for them, right? We got the barracks, archery, cavalry, siege, blacksmith, university. Every civ, for the most part, is going to use all of those, right? Some civs require extra buildings, so we have extra 1, extra 2. And those are like, for example, HRE, right? Extra 1, they have... see, each of the buildings they have different names. I can't remember what this one is for HRE. I think it's mine work, because Burgrave doesn't produce any different units. So I'm pretty sure extra 1 is mine work for HRE. This is the monastery for Rus, and this is their Age 4 landmark that lets them research all of their siege techs. So that's just kind of how it works, right? So essentially, to get this set up, all we need to do is figure out what the game name for these two new civs is. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this block, right? And what we can do is just paste in the new name. So this is going to be, how do I make my yeah. So this is going to be for House of Lancaster, I guess we'll do first. And then this one is going to be for, what is the other side? The Templars. Okay, so one of the main areas you're going to need to look here in the mod editor is the attributes. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. And this is going to be where a lot of the game files are, broken down by civs, right? Oh, is it going to work? Give it a second to load up, I guess. But yeah, so this is where your game files are going to be there. There's a lot of different... interesting. Okay, I never really got these errors before, but I haven't haven't booted it up since the update, so maybe something's broken, or it's just telling me something that used to work doesn't work now, which is fine. Okay, so once you actually load in the attributes, you're gonna be able to drop down all of this different stuff. And basically the main ones that you're gonna use are SBPS and this one that it defaults you open with, the EBPS. And what this means is these are entity blueprints. So we can break this down. I believe it's races. Yeah, that's where we're gonna want to go. And Lancaster is just called Lancaster. Nice. So I'm going to try to do this all on one screen because I don't really know how I'm going to stream multiple screens at once. So this might be... Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put this over here and then copy the stuff over. So yeah, so we're checking if the player civ is Lancaster because that's what it's called. At least it should be. And then... just for example, like we can break down Lancaster and it's got the list of the buildings. So from here, pretty much all we have to do, right, is, okay, so this is building unit barracks. And their shortened is going to be LAN. So essentially, right, we just got to copy... or get the names for each of those. And actually what I think we can do is go down, it might be a little bit easier in the blueprints down here, because I wonder if I can copy it, right? We can at least see the pictures. Can we copy it? It's not gonna let us copy it. Interesting. Did they change the names of these? Why do they have them each in their own folders? Okay, no. Because these ones, so the reason why I was confused, right, is because all of these are called building unit infantry control, and they're like the underscore like abbreviated names of the civ, right? So HRE underscore HA underscore 01 is Order of the Dragon. Pretty much all the alternate civs, right, have HA01 like that. Which is why when they added Lancaster, I was already like, okay, so they broke the naming pattern there. So, and it looks like they did that as well with, let me find them, Lancaster buildings, right? Because this is just called building unit barracks. LAN. I can't. Won't let me copy it from there. So we're just gonna have to type that in. That's fine. Building underscore unit underscore barracks underscore, and it's just LAN. Okay, so that's cool. We got that set up, and now we just got to do that for the rest of the buildings. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and I should, assuming they keep the naming pattern the same, we should be able to just change barracks. So yeah, so blacksmith is, yeah, building tech underscore blacksmith. Cool. University, building tech underscore university. Okay. Building unit range, Lancaster. is going to be the archery. And building unit siege. Nice. Okay. Siege like this. I always spell it wrong. It's 50-50. Building unit stable Lancaster. Okay, cool. Now, one thing I'm not sure of is what the extra buildings might be. I might have to jump in actually with a game of. I'm just gonna uncomment these or comment these for now. Like this. I'm not actually sure what the extra buildings are, so I think I'm gonna have to jump in just like a quick play and just a regular match and see what I would need to add for these extra buildings, if any, because I know they have their castle, but I don't know if that can produce any different units than what you would get out of the standard buildings. I played Lancaster a couple times. I haven't played the Templar before, though. Oh, the other thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go into the RDO file. And this is kind of general mod information, right? So you got your images, you got your description, you got your display name. But it also includes starting building replacements, which the Micro Mayhem mod uses quite a bit. Right, so each civ is going to start with their monastery, essentially, other than JD, because they call JD back from the TC. But I think House of Lancaster and Templar can start with monasteries as well. And the reason that happens is because in the Micro Mayhem mod, you don't need the TC for anything. You're not allowed to produce villagers, so there's no point in really having it there. And for the sake of saving space, basically, that's the reason you start with the monastery, because you can actually build monks, and you'll need to in the mod. So let's go ahead and grab the race here. It should be able to just pop in Lancaster, and we'll grab their building. And we want their, where's their monastery at? There we go. And yeah, they don't start with any squads or anything, right? So that is pretty much what we need to do there. It makes it easy. Makes it easy to import these, actually, because you have the button to import them, and you just don't have to type in the names and hope you don't get a typo here. So Lancaster is called Lancaster. What is the other one called? What is Templar called? Oh, there we go. Templar is called Templar. Right at the bottom. Okay, I was looking for French underscore HA underscore 02 or something like that, but it's just called Templar, so that's nice. We'll go over here. Templar, hopefully their buildings are sorted and named nicely. They are. Okay, so they're named the same as, it looks like they're named the same as Lancaster's, which is nice. But they're not named the same as any of the other civs, which is about par for the course when it comes to modding this game. It feels like it's fine. I'm looking for a monastery though. Boom. Okay, we're locked in. So now they should both start with monasteries as well, just like the other civs. And if we need to change that, we can. And just for the fact that Lancaster and Templar seem to be named the same way for their production buildings, I'm going to go ahead and just fill in the Templar here. And then, oh shoot, what is, Is it just TEM? Yeah, it's TEM instead of LAN. Easy enough. And we'll just assume that they're going to be named exactly the same because that's what it looks like. Okay, cool. And then one more thing that I like to do when I'm testing is I have this reveal. Actually, I have this explore all. Right, so what this is saying is if it's not an AI player, it's going to explore the whole map for him. Just for testing, I like to change this to just reveal all, right? So that way I can see everything that's going on at the map. So if I spawn a AI across the map, I can see exactly what their buildings look like and what units they're making. So I think that's a good starting point to see what it's going to look like. We should have, based on the changes, if we go back. Zoe Martin 487, thank you for the follow. That's awesome. I don't have the camera on right now, but I got jump scared by that. My volume is so loud. But thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, doing well. Just modding some stuff. How about you? Okay, so yeah, based on what we have in the setup buildings, we have a lot of setup methods apparently. What we should see here is Lancaster and Templar starting with their barracks, archery, cavalry, siege, blacksmith, and university, as well as a monastery in the center. So we're just going to go ahead and build this version of the mod. This is just going out to my local computer, so it won't actually change the live version of the mod. But it's just a test here, so I guess we'll just boot up some Age of Empires here, and we'll see what it looks like. Hopefully things don't break completely. Like I said, I haven't pre-prepared or done anything really for this stream. This is just kind of the process of deciding that, hey, I want to add these civs. What's that going to look like using the current systems that they have? So yeah, let's see. Single player, skirmish, create game. And we turn down a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna change our mod to Micro Mayhem. Get sandbox, why not? Okay. So usually when I test this, I guess for now I'll be Lancaster and we'll have an AI be the Templar. And yeah, that should be good. So mainly we're just looking to see that the buildings are set up properly. This might actually break some other things in the code just because the units and whatnot are not being generated for these civs. But hopefully we can at least see the buildings go down. Cannot find building unit barracks tem. Okay. Well, that is pretty clear what the problem is. Is it not named the same way? Was I giving it? Wait, building unit. Lancaster building unit barracks. Okay, but Templar is named building barracks. There's no unit. Why do you do this to me? Okay, so I guess we just remove the unit and it should be able to find it. Building barracks, Tim. Building range. Are you called that? Oh, no, this is building archery range. Of course. Of course. That would just be silly if it was just building unit range and not building archery range. Well, what else we got here? Cavalry. Building stable. Okay, so just get rid of the units. Just the unit, please. Okay, and then siege. Building siege. Okay, easy enough. Building tech university. Building tech university, that looks good. And building tech blacksmith. Okay. That was, yep, I made the mistake of assuming that the two DLC civs would use the same naming conventions. But that hasn't been the case. Okay. So I think we should be good now. I'm just going to go ahead and build this mod just to double check. And let's go ahead and boot up again. Streaming's going good so far, I think. It depends on how loading up this game goes. But so far, nothing too crazy. I mean, I expected some name changes and stuff to be happening. There's always going to be some issues with coding where, you know, you'll make simple mistakes, and sometimes they're easy enough to figure out and sometimes they're not. But hopefully we boot up here and see at least 2 civs with their starting buildings. I think once we get this working, the main other thing is to just get make sure all the units and upgrades are being pulled in for each of the civs, which is, you know, it's kind of a process. I thought I could have sworn I checked those. Building siege tem is different. Why? Building siege workshop. Okay. Just double check here. Building tech blacksmith tem. Building tech university tem. Okay. And we got that far, so we should be good. And this logic, assuming that they are entities and they work the same way as other entities, which they should, they're gonna spawn. Just to kind of, I guess we can build a new version of that. But yeah, I mean, pretty much it's just creating an entity at a position, and basically these are just mapped out around their starting buildings. Then it's spawning each of them. It actually spawns 2 barracks, you know, 2 of each building, just so it could produce, you know, twice as fast. Puts them in an E group for the civ, and then yeah, modifies their production rate so they just work overtime. They instantly produce units essentially, and that's kind of how the setup buildings work. So right now we're just making sure that the rest of that process gets the correct blueprints, which has been a process. I think they're all typed in correctly. We have the right names here. I think this is gonna be good. If it crashes, hopefully it puts the buildings out first, so at least we know we can move on. Okay, so make sure we're on the right version. We'll make the AI Knights Templar again. Doesn't really matter the mode for now. We just want to see some buildings. Oh my. This is my process, guys. This is pretty much how it goes. What's wrong with the Lancaster one? I thought that one went first. Goodness. It would be nice if these buildings were named all the same way, right? Why are they all different things? Yeah, so this one's Siege Workshop as well. Building Unit Siege Workshop. Okay. Just double checking again. Building Unit Barracks. Got it. Building Unit Range. Got it. The Stable. Okay. We got we got Siege Workshop. Nice. And then Tech Blacksmith. Yep. And Tech University. Okay. Yeah, I got all those ones right. So, like, you see how these are different? This is Building Unit Barracks LAN. This is Building Barracks Templar. Building Archery Range Templar. Building Unit Range LAN. Building Stable Templar. Building Unit Stable. You get the point. They're named different. I mean, I guess they got these tech ones the same, but then these ones are just completely differently named to. These all have infantry control. I guess these ones don't have these don't have the control. There's no standard. I just gotta make sure that I type them in right. I guess that's fair. All right, third time's the charm. We're getting it this time. By the way, I do custom graphics for streamers and affordable prices. Do you want some? I don't think so right now. Right now I'm kind of just chilling with what I have, for better or worse. But yeah, thanks for the offer though. If I ever need anything in the future, I will let you know. Right now, I am just trying to get this mod to work. All right. Hey, there we go. Sick. So we have our buildings. Wait, is this actually just straight up gonna work right out of the box? Who coded this? Okay. Okay. Got a little too ahead of myself there. Does work for the yo man. These guys too. Okay, so we've got some of this working, which is cool. What does it have for the AI menu? I'm just curious. Has them archer, horseman, hardened spearman, chevalier. Okay, no upgrades. Fair enough. I don't think that's right for Templar though, because they should have some extra units. So it's kind of interesting what it's already gotten and what it's what it hasn't. But we have the buildings down, so that is a good start. That's pretty much what we wanted there with that setup going. So now I'm not super familiar actually with how these civs work, if they can produce or research extra stuff from additional buildings. So what we're gonna do is just put us on maximum. We're gonna start at H1. Map state is gonna be revealed, and we want to do some cheats. And all I'm gonna do here is just kind of look at all the buildings, all the landmarks, make sure that everything that needs to be included as a building or a unit is going to be included. So right now we're just jumping in, doing some research here. This is kind of the next step of the process. So I believe, and then Jiffy will just work here. Ordain up to 4 Lords of Lancaster, powerful melee leaders, which increase the max health of nearby military units by +5 each. Cues production of a free Lord of Lancaster upon completion. Okay. This one-time muster, I know, doesn't have any new units in it. So let's take a look at this Abbey of Kings. We'll put down barracks. We'll put down archery range. We'll put down stable, and we'll put down, I guess, yeah, blacksmith. Okay, so yeah, here we can ordain a lord, and we can't do that, looks like, anywhere else. So we can have 4 lords. Guess we need some houses. So yeah, the first one for sure, and I'm gonna have to change my settings here. Oh well, maybe later. Okay, so we are gonna need an Abbey of Kings. That's gonna have to be an extra building, because they can produce new units out of it, and they can have 4 of them. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at their age 3. Acts as a keep. Unique military technologies. Okay, that is gonna have to be an extra building, I think. Yeah. Right, because none of these are in here. And then let's make sure we build a siege workshop. I'll make sure we get a monastery here. And then shoot, is the age 4 like the Windguard Palace? What are Earl's Guard? Are those like their men-at-arms? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we don't actually need this as an extra building, because we can produce all of these units from their standard buildings. So for Lancaster, we're going to need Abbey of Kings, and we're going to need King's College. Those are going to be the extra buildings. And then from there, everything looks to be pretty standard as far as like upgrades and units go. There isn't anything crazy that we have to do for unique buffs or anything like that. Okay, so yeah, let's do that right now. We'll need Lancaster, Abbey of Kings, an extra 1, and then we'll do extra 2 for the college. So going into Lancaster, we got buildings, landmark. Buildings, landmark. Okay, so this is Berkshire. This is Windguard Palace, so we don't need either of those. Okay, so building landmark underscore landmark underscore H1 Abbey land. Okay, cool. And because there's no way to copy that, building underscore landmark underscore H1 underscore ABBEY. Okay, so we'll give them their landmark. That will be the Abbey of Kings, and then the other one we need is King's College. So building landmark H2 King's College, nice and easy. Go ahead and do that. H2, and then it's just like King's College, like that. Cool. Okay. So that's looking good. So that'll get us the 2 landmark buildings included as well in the mod. Now, this is going to be interesting to see exactly what they do, because I have some custom logic here, which is why some of the units had their cost update and some of them didn't. And I almost want to create a separate method because, okay, so my original assumption, right, is I could get all the blueprints of the entities and the squads and I can put them all in a list and just use that for the menus, use that for spawning, and it would be easier to be dynamic. The problem is that everything is named so inconsistently and set up honestly inconsistently at times that there's just so many like exceptions to the common rules that it's almost easier to just kind of have everything strictly typed at a certain point. I guess the first thing I can check is, so built into the mod editor there's this EBP table. Do they have, okay, so they do have Lancaster unit. Okay. Building Lancaster. Okay. So we could get each of the units from this table. We could do like for each unit in the unit table. And then I feel like there's, I know there's SBP. Right, and then we could go Lancaster dot unit. Free dummy champion land. Interesting. Is there's got to be an upgrade one as well. Yeah, it's just like this. So these are each of the Lancaster specific ones. Yeah. Okay, so these are each of the Lancaster specific ones. Okay, that makes sense. And then this unit table seems to be oh, there's not specific units, right? So we'd have to filter out each of the units. But it has even the common units like Spearmen. So it might be worth it to just, at least for Lancaster and Templar to generate a different, generate the blueprint a different way. I guess we could look to see what's actually happening here. Because, yeah, it gets all the blueprints based on their race name automatically. And then it's going to filter out the units. And it builds out this table, which is, yeah, right here. So each unit is going to have a unit type, an entity blueprint, a squad blueprint, squad cost, population cost, the age that you can build it in, the icon, the screen name, the help desk or help text, and the squad BP cost, blueprint cost, as well as if it's active and if there is a set limit on the number of units, as well as the parent. I don't know. This isn't really used. I don't think this is really used, but other than that, it's pretty much all used. And I guess for the most part, if we're strictly typed, we can... Okay, actually, I want to change this, right? So we're gonna say if race name equals Lancaster, or race name equals Templar, then I'm just gonna route these essentially to a different method, and this is actually just gonna return this. Okay. So yeah, so now we just need to create this function, and we'll just create it right below. Okay, so that's what I copied. So we'll do function, and this is just player, race name, filter words, and chosen words. And these are just arrays, essentially, of words that are used to filter out blueprints so that they're not being included. For example, like Chinese HA01, which is Juicy, right? They don't get Fire Lancers, they don't get Culverins, they don't get Ribalda-Quinn's cannons. For some reason, when you're getting all of the blueprints for a specific race, they include blueprints that they can't make, which is why there's so many exceptions of things not working right. Which at the end of the day, all of these should probably be refactored into using these EBP and SBP definitions rather than this kind of custom logic that's set up. But for right now, I know all of this works, and I just want to get these new civs out. So what I'm going to do is create this logic, or copy this logic from here. So we're creating the same table definition at the end of this method. So boom, this is in here. Cool. Shift tab. Okay, so So we're going to create the squads table with this logic. And where is this created? Okay, so what this is doing essentially is this is getting a list of strings which are used to define the blueprints. So what that means is it's getting like a list of these attributes, EBPS, Lancaster buildings, and it's using that to get like the blueprint reference essentially. And from that, you can generate things like using the built-in script methods. You can, get their cost. You can get their population cost. You can get their squad icon, screen name, all this kind of stuff based on if you have the blueprint. What we can do here is we can say, so we need a reference to the entity table. So I'm just going to create that. How do I define entity table, right? And I'm just going to leave that be null for now. And we're going to set that based on the race name of the player. So we'll go Lancaster, right? Then entity table equals EBP dot Lancast. It's all caps, isn't it? Okay, jeez. Okay, yeah, so all of their units are going to be, all of their units and buildings are going to be in there. So we just need a reference to that table. And then else if race name equals Templar, then entity table equals EBP dot Templar. Okay. Okay, so now what we need to do is basically loop through because right now we're looping through essentially in the last method. This is going to be a list of strings, right? And if we're going to say we're getting the entity blueprint using that string, but in this variation of the method, this is just a list of the blueprints themselves, like unit barracks LAN. That is just a reference to the blueprint. So all we need to do here is for J, yeah, this is fine. Entity in pairs, entity table, right? And this should be, J should be the actual name that we can see it as when we kind of expect. So J should be like unit, naval, demo, Lancaster. So I guess how do we want to filter this? So basically we're saying if you find unit in the blueprint, then your entity blueprint is just going to be your entity. Because we're searching through a list of blueprints, right? And our entity type is going to be J, because that's the name. Where's it getting squad blueprint from? Okay, so we're going to need a local squad table, and squad table is just simply going to be sbp.lancaster, and that's going to be basically all your units again. For some reason there's a unit and there's an entity for each unit. There's a squad, sorry, and there's an entity for each unit, whereas buildings just have an entity. Not sure exactly why it works that way, but that is just something you kind of have to know. Yeah, and the cost of a unit is mostly associated with the entity cost of it, not not the actual squad blueprint. So that was a little bit confusing when trying to make everything cost gold. But now we're kind of cooking here. So we've got the entity table, we got the squad table. I want to see where I was filtering these. So I'm looking at a bunch of different types of locations. I think what we have to do here is we need to pair the squad blueprint with the entity blueprint, assuming they have the same name. They should have the same name. There's a few that don't, but I think that's what we're gonna have to do here. So I'm just gonna create. Well, I need to create a local table called spawnable squads, because that's what we're returning from this method in the first place. And at the end of this method, we need to return the blueprint generator archetype mapping method. And hopefully that will still work, assuming we're generating the unit table in the same way with the same definitions. So what this really needs to do is loop through each of the definitions in the entity table. So this is what it's doing right now. So for J entity in pairs entity table, if it's a unit, we get the blueprint, we get the squad costs, we get the blueprint cost, we get the pop costs, we get the entity type. We're gonna go up, and this is gonna be a lot cleaner than the other method. It's just a matter of refactoring it. So yeah, this is still all within, you know, if it's a unit, right? Because if it's a unit, we want to get all of this information. Okay. And then all we need to do here is bring this up, and we'll create these locals inside the for loop each time they run, so they're not copying, they're not retaining information from previous runs. Okay, so let's make sure this makes sense. So this unit table is defined in the same way. We actually want this to be called spawnable squads instead of temp sb ps copy. So we get the entity table, we get the squad table for each of these Lancaster and Templar civs. By the way, like I said, if this works for these two, that's good. I'll probably refactor the rest of the civs just for the purposes of getting this update out, though. I'm just kind of rerouting the logic for Lancaster and Templar to this new method, returning this instead of going through all of this like custom, a lot of exception based logic there. Exceptions as in exceptions in the naming conventions, but this method is going to be a lot cleaner, and it's using built-in tables a little bit better. So we're going to loop through each of the entities. This is all the information we need for each unit, right? We're going to check to see if it is a unit. That's important. If it is a unit, the blueprint is just the entity. And the entity type is J. That's going to be this name there. So that makes sense. Okay, so here we need the squad blueprint. Now, we'll need to find the squad blueprint by and why did I start with J? I have another for loop. Okay, this needs to start with I just because that's how things start. Don't think I have another reference to J, so we should be good. For J, squad in pairs. Squad table. So we're basically looking through the squad table now, and we're saying if J equals I, then then squad BP equals squad. Simple enough. Okay, yeah, so all this is doing is it's saying it's looping through the squad table, right? And it's trying to find the matching blueprint of the entity. And if it is, it's just setting this squad blueprint to that. And we need the squad blueprint to get the cost here, as well as the UI information for the squad. So I think at this point, we're done with generating the units. And it's a lot easier than all of this with all of the exceptions and stuff, right? Assuming this works and there's no issues with the code, which is, you know, you never really expect to code something right the first time. Do we have this variable? Hey, that's a crazy catch. So I think we just need to replace this with this. Where was player race defined here? Player underscore get race. Yeah, that's got to be how this other one's defined anyways. I don't know why I created a separate variable for that when I have just race name passed in, but that's besides the point. I'm just going to leave everything like it is for the previous civs because I know it works. And then we'll refactor things. Refactoring's boring. We'll do that later. Yeah, and I think we're fine here. I think this will work. So I'm gonna put a breakpoint in here because, you know, obviously I want to see what it's kind of doing just to make sure. But yeah, this looks good. Go ahead and build this, and we'll fire up some Age of Empires. Run the test here. Get this going. I mean, if this works how I think it is, it's going to be a lot easier to add these civs than I was originally anticipating. That's a big if. Don't want to jinx myself. But, I mean, really at this point, it's just plugging in blueprints and stuff. 95 challenges. Okay. It's distracted. Alright, Micro Mayhem. Boom, boom, boom. And for now, because we just changed House of Lancaster. Actually, we did change both of them, not going to lie. But I'm just going to test with House of Lancaster. And I'm going to make sure that the AI menu matches up with what I'm able to produce in each age. So hopefully right now we should see all units. And guys, I didn't attach this to the game. This is kind of how you do the debugging. Okay, so now yeah, we're pausing because we're here. So we're just gonna go ahead and take a look at what this logic is doing. So race name is Lancaster. So our entity table is going to be a nice table with their names and the blueprint. Wow, look at that. Okay, cool. So now we're going to look through each one, right? We're going to say if string.find units. Which one is I? Let's just make sure it's the name. And it is the name. Okay, so now we're just going to check the ones that go into this if block. So right now we're looking at Unit Siege Workshop RAM 3 Lancaster. Squad cost. We can see that this logic is, yeah, Rams cost 200 wood. Now is it going to match with the squad blueprint? We'll give that a little test. And we'll see that squad blueprint has something. Oh, I just realized one thing that we are going to need to change is unit type. Entity type is I, but we don't have a variable for unit type. That is going to be an issue, and I'm pretty sure because of that we're gonna bomb out here. But unit type is gonna actually just be equal to unit type equals I guess it doesn't really matter because if they're the same. Yeah, so I knew that was gonna be an error. Oh, blueprint generator line 331. Let's just make sure that's what we were looking at. Wait, what was this error? Type expected race blueprint. Receive string. Oh. Oh, yeah. I see why I had to have a separate variable for player race. That makes sense now. Yes, past me was not incorrect in using a separate variable for this. Okay, so what the problem was there is that player race. We'll just copy this down. And we'll search for it. Yeah. So I was typing in the race name, which is a string, instead of this player underscore get race, which we can do outside of this for loop, so we're not running that an unnecessary amount of times, but we're just getting the blueprint version of the player race, which is what I was asking for. So was able to find the squad blueprint. So these should each be their same names, right? Like if we just one random one. So let's look at the Yale man. They're just, yep. Let's see if they match up. 2, 3, 4. What were these? 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So they're named the same, so they should be connected to each other for the most part. If they're not matching up, then I would have to manually map the names, which is something that I've done before. Isn't a super big problem. We will be able to determine which ones aren't matched up pretty easily based on which units cost gold and which units cost their normal resources. All right. Let's go ahead, update the version of the mod, and get going here. Boot up. And hopefully what we should see here, I'm going to do a skirmish 1v1, both House of Lancaster, and I'm going to make sure the units in the AI menu match up to the units that I'm able to produce, as well as all of my units should now cost gold. If anybody is interested in exactly how that works, just let me know and I can go over how those resource costs are being converted. But for now, I'm just gonna keep plugging away on the update and hopefully get this out pretty soon. I know it's a little bit late, a little bit later than I had hoped to have this update out. Player gets squad blueprint cost 331. Is it saying it's nil? Yeah. Okay, so that means something's not matching. Okay. I guess I could have done a nil check there. It's my mistake to assume that things would just work. I guess we'll just have to see which ones are failing here. Because if it can't find a squad blueprint, then that's a problem. So if it can't find a squad blueprint, that means either the name doesn't match or it's not a squad. So in that case, if we get past this for loop and we see that the squad blueprint is still nil like this, then it's Lua is like this for 9 equals. So we want to make sure that we have a squad blueprint, because otherwise we won't be able to get like the UI information and stuff for it, and if there's not one, then it probably shouldn't be there. So did I grab one too many ends? I mess it up. What is happening? Then if and what did I do? Oh, yeah, this should all be tabbed over. There we go. That makes sense. So yeah, we'll say if the squad blueprint isn't nil, then we can continue getting the information where that requires the squad blueprint, and we can insert it into the unit table. Just for now, I'm just gonna put this in here, and I'm gonna see what the variables look like when this squad blueprint is nil, just to make sure that we're not missing any unit that should be included. So now we shouldn't be crashing, at least from the squad blueprint, right? That's one issue fixed, and assuming that there isn't another problem down the road, we should be able to see what the current state is when that squad blueprint is nil, just because we have that else block there. So we're just gonna boot up Age of Empires. This is kind of the process. You make changes, you run into an issue, it tells you where to fix it, you go fix it, and then you boot it up again, and at a certain point you just stop running out of issues to fix. If there's anybody out there who codes everything perfectly the first time, please let me know. I will pass this project over to you, and you will be able to do it much faster than I am. Okay, yeah, doubled up on House of Lancaster here. We shouldn't get a crash. You know, I don't want to say that there's no more crashable logic beyond this point, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. We will get a pause though, because we have some breakpoints. 361. Oh goodness, that's because I didn't define the table as a actual table. It's just a null variable. Yeah, famous last words right there. We shouldn't crash here. That's how it always happens. I'm pretty sure that is just what we needed, so that this is defined as an actual table, and then when we go to insert it, there's something there to insert. That is generally a requirement, right? And let's see. This archetype mapping should work the same way, assuming they added archetypes for all of the things. If they didn't, then I'm not sure. We'll test that when we get there, I guess. And this time I'll actually make sure to attach the debugger. So kind of how it works with the content editor is you just click this attach button up here, and that attaches to your game. So you actually debug your game while it's happening. The only thing is you've got to make sure, and if I can pull up Steam over here, you just got to make sure that your properties have this -dev tag, and that'll get you going. And you can actually see the errors and stuff that come up. You are able to run it without the -dev tag, but it will just crash and it won't give you information on what actually happened. So it's very useful to have that set up. As well as if you're running a local mod with other people, they will also need to be in the -dev mode. So speaking of which, we can attach to the game client here, which means that when we actually start the game here, we will pause it and get back into debug mode here. So this is that first method that's basically routing us into this new one that we created. And since we know that this stuff is pulling the right table information, we can actually just continue on here. And what we want to do, or what I want to do, is just make sure that each unit is making sense. So, yep. Where's the unit table? Here we go. Unit table has the entity, has the entity type, has the description. That looks right. It's good. Is active true. Pop cost is 1. That sounds right. We got the squad blueprint. We got the squad blueprint cost 45.45. Sounds low. Is it really 45.45? That's, I don't know. That's crazy. Is that low? Is that low for an archer? They have a discounted archer too. Okay. Yeah, we got the Abbey, we got the Windguard. Oh, Windguard Army. Interesting. Oh, so is this one building unit dock? Okay. So that doesn't need to be included. I guess it includes the naval war galleys. We can probably filter out by the word naval. Unit trade cart, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not terrible if they're in here at this point, as long as they're in here. Yeah, so contingent we're also going to need to filter out. Mounted men-at-arms. They have mounted men-at-arms? What is happening? What? Interesting. Is that just like is that like a dev phase? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we're good here. Yeah, we're good here. We'll just see which ones they filter out now. Siege Workshop gets filtered. Earl's Guard 4 gets filtered. Interesting. So does that mean that it's called something different in the squad table? Because I feel like we want Earl's Guard to be included since it's an actual unit. So SVP is called are they not included? Are they called Mounted Man-at-Arm in SBP, but called Earl's Guard in EBP? Yeah, Earl's Guard 2, 3, 4. No. What? Unit underscore. Unit underscore Earl's Guard right after crossbow. But they're not in SBP? Interesting. Why not? Okay. So we'll have to look at why those aren't in there, because they definitely should be. We might just have to straight up add a reference to that. Okay, let's continue. Earl Retinue. Okay, so that's the end of the Lancaster there, and this should be just the same thing, but it's doing it for each civ. Okay, so yeah, we're not going to crash here, but what we're going to see is... Oh. Well, now everything is broken. Okay. What units do they have? They don't have any units. Okay, so something must not be working as it should here. Yeah, I suppose in here we have like the actual attribute name. Like if we go over to Lancaster, not buildings, but units, you have like this actual name with the attributes. Unit Earl's Guard. Castle Men-at-Arms. Imperial Men-at-Arms. Okay, so what are they called in... the squad blueprints, right? So we'll pull up the squad blueprints and we'll go to Lancaster. And they are... They're called Champion. Why? Why are you called this? Sure. So yeah, English. Why are these English? They should be Lancaster. And these ones are called Champion 3 and 4. They're English Imperial and Castle Men-at-Arms. Okay. Fair enough. We'll just call them unit champions. So we're gonna need some exceptions in this as well, apparently. Which makes me not want to refactor the rest of these. I kind of wanted to test it out with just two, just in case there were some exceptions that needed to be made. So like essentially in here, we need to say that if else if, right, J is the squad definition. So we're gonna say if the squad name is unit champion 3 Lancaster, right? Boom. It's not gonna let me copy this. Okay. Unit champion underscore 3 underscore LAN. Then and this is unit Earlsguard underscore 3 LAN. Just go ahead and simplify that statement, clean it up a little bit. So what we're saying here is, yeah, this is an exception. So we're basically saying if the squad is unit champion 3 LAN, unit champion 3 LAN, and the entity blueprint is equal to unit Earlsguard 3 LAN, like that, we're also saying that the squad blueprint is this squad. So we're basically just mapping the unit champion 3 LAN to the unit Earlsguard. And that is because they are named differently from their entity blueprint to their squad blueprint. And this should just be 4. So everything in Castle has an underscore 3, everything in imp has an underscore 4. So each veterancy of unit actually counts as a different unit entirely. Obviously with some inheritance that kind of ties them together. So that should map the Earlsguard. Now the next problem is none of them were being mapped correctly. And I am wondering how that is happening. Because none of the units were costing gold before. So I do have in my resource helper, and this is like some interesting code for sure. Okay, yeah, so that just uses the blueprint itself. these are all lowercase, right? So we got unit underscore champion 3 LAN. And do those match exactly to what they are in this table? So like this is unit Earlsguard 3 LAN. Why are they all caps? So I just have to, guess, lowercase these. For clarity, I'm gonna fix these immediately. So local unit type equals. Now, is there a lowercase method built into Lua? There's gotta be, right? Yes, dot lower. Okay. I'm just learning Lua for this, basically. I dot lower. Or is it too lower? Just gonna make sure that this is gonna be doing that right. I think that should work, assuming that you can use dot lower in the SCAR version of Lua. So we're gonna say unit type there. Wait, do I have entity type anywhere? Where's this variable being created? Okay. This is actually entity type, because this is the entity table. So toString I is dot lower is going to be the entity type. The reason why it's lower is because every time you're referencing these through other methods, you need to have them lowercase. For some reason, their names in this table are just completely all caps, but they seem to be matching correctly, so that's good. Now unit type still needs to be null here, and then anytime we're using I, we can just go ahead and call that entity type, just to make this clear. Clear what we're referring to, because I and J just wasn't cutting it at this point. And then we can actually go ahead and get rid of this call down here, since that's already being set up top. Okay, so now we need to change J to, and this is just going to be unit type. Unit's name. Sure, because we already have unit type up there. So if unit name equals that, unit type is going to be equal to unit name. If unit name is this champion and entity type is this guy, then we'll make sure those match up. And same with this champion and this guy. Incorrect symbol near equals. What did we do? Oh, we left this dot up here. So I think what was happening was in the resource helper, it was using this entity type, right, to modify the entity cost, but because it was all caps from this new version of the method, it wasn't matching up properly with these. So what I did here is, yeah, basically just lowercased it. So entity type is going to be the actual lowercase version, which hopefully should match up with what they are in the entity blueprints. It works with Earlsguard So hopefully it's just going to work with the rest of them. I'm not going to look at them right now, and I'm going to assume that that is the way it is, because that is the way it should be. And if there are any units that don't have their costs updated, then I will look into those further. That reminds me, I'm going to have to... I'm actually going to do this up top so I don't have to do it for each of those. But I'm going to say unit name equals unit name toString unit name dot lower. And we're just going to make sure that it's a string. I don't know that it wouldn't be, but it might as well. Actually, this can be changed. Yeah, in the for loop, we're still using I up there, so we should use J down here. We're gonna say this unit name equals toString J dot lower, so we have unit name, and that's gonna set each of these correctly, right? Okay. So I think that should work. I think that was the problem why they weren't updating their costs. Yeah, let's just go ahead and test it. YOLO. Let's see what happens. But now they should all be... This is assuming that this lower method works. I've had some problems, to be honest, with the AoE4 essence editor, where just built-in Lua methods just don't work sometimes. I don't know if I'm just doing that wrong. It could be the case, but I'm just hoping that this is going to run without any issues. Alright, you know the drill by now. House of Lancaster game mode, Micro Mayhem. Let's start her up. I've done this so many times. Yeah, this is pretty much the process for testing out a civ. For at least my mod, I will basically run against an AI and make sure that all of my units cost gold, and what? Oh. I read the docs wrong. Okay. Sure. It's like this. Guys, I'm learning Lua. I'm learning. String dot lower. There we go. Lower. Boom. Okay. See, now it changes colors, so that's a good sign. Anything like a method is, you know, just like not not colorful, it's questionable whether or not it's actually going to work. Now we should be cooking. Now everything's going to work. Famous last words. Feeling pretty good about this. I mean, honestly, like, once this template is down, and once this template is working, like for example, if this works with Lancaster, I should be able to just straight up boot Templar and have the units working. Obviously, that's assuming that all of the units are assigned to their correct, you know, age and everything like that. But hopefully, there's a little bit less exceptions to the general rules here, and there's only a couple snags or something to getting these guys set up. Or maybe not at all. That's, I mean, that's, we can always hope. The House of Lancaster matchup. Do we look? Gotta look. Okay, no. So they're not, the costs aren't being updated, unfortunately. We do have the buildings here, though, which I've seen, but... Okay, yeah, so none of the costs are working. Do you have anything in the menus? No, you don't have anything in the menus. That's cool. So we're just going to go ahead and restart and just debug now and see what's going on here. Because at this point, I'm not exactly sure where the problem is coming from. Really? What is spawnable squads? Do you have any information for me? Spawnable squads. Lancaster. Entity table looks good. What? Why can't you tell me what's in this table? A bit confused. Gonna go ahead and just restart and maybe reattach. Maybe it just didn't pick up the breakpoints. Because there should be something in this table. Or it should have hit the other breakpoints for sure. All right. Yeah, that'll happen. I was still all caps looking for unit. So of course it's not gonna be able to find a unit to put in there. That guys, that's one of those where I didn't need to crash out like that. I crash out of the game. Actually, I'm still doing fine, allegedly. That's one of those where if this doesn't work now, I'm not sure what the problem is. That was just like a simple fix, right? Because I lowered the string so it's not looking for capital unit. So it wasn't finding any units to put in the squad list. That makes sense why it was empty. The debugger wasn't tripping out or anything. Oh, did I rebuild this? I don't think I rebuilt that. Okay, I did. I'm just tripping. Yeah. So it definitely wasn't finding any units. The reason that it wasn't finding any units makes sense. Now, unless there's another issue like that, I'm hoping to see all of the units costing gold, because that means that they're plugged into the system correctly if all the units are costing gold. That means we can move away from generating units and we can look at generating the upgrades list, and then from that point we're pretty much done. Oh, here we go, boys. All of the night. Yep. The yeomen, the crossbowmen, the early hand cannoneers. Okay, your upgrades aren't changed yet. All of the siege are costing gold. Upgrades still no, but spearmen. And we can build these guys. And we'll take a look at the AI menu. Okay, their units... We'll have to look at that. Their units still aren't showing up. And what that means to me is that... what does that mean? It could mean a few different things. Mainly that they're not... They're not set up with the age in one of their variables, I think is what's going to be the issue. So each unit should have an age that they're working with. So at least there we got all of the units plugged into the system. So all of our units are costing gold, which is what we want. We're gonna go ahead and quit that. Which means they're there. And what I'm gonna do here is let's take a look at the squad blueprints here. So take a look at the squad champion and squad types list. There's Scar age 3, Scar men at arms, they're men at arms. Squad type, why are they spearmen? Race data, info, heavy melee infantry. Okay, but let's look at like Japanese, because I'm pretty sure in their type list, oh no they don't. So they're Scar military, they're Scar age 4. And champion, Scar military, Scar age 3. Okay, so that should be working. Squad age being set. It's not. Aha. Huh. Okay, so yeah, we're just missing some variables. It was regarding the squad age. I think that's causing this issue. Because, and I can show you in a second, but it's related to how the AI is generating their armies. So we have squad age, unit limit, and then what else do we have? So guys, right now in the mod, I just have kind of a hard-coded unit limit. For basically each different siege type, the AI will only spawn up to 3 of those at a time. which is just because like before that was in, they would just have armies of just crazy amounts of siege, and that's all that it ever was. So that's in there. But you can also customize their army types anyways. This is just kind of built in. If you want to have a few mangonels, then you can have a few mangonels. But the unit limit, let's just make sure that I'm not missing anything else here. The parent, I don't think I'm using that for anything at all anyways. Squad blueprint cost is being set. Help text is being set. Screen name is being set. Squad icon is being set. Squad age is now being set. Pop costs is being set. Squad cost. Yep, all the way up top. Squad blueprint for sure. Entity blueprint for sure. Yeah, entity PP, yep. And then entity type is being set, and unit type is being set as well. So we should have all of the correct variables that we need in there. And if that is working, assuming that all of the squad blueprints are tagged with their associated age that you can build them in, we should be able to see them in the AI menu now. And they should match up, right? So the units I'm able to build as House of Lancaster should match up to the units that I'm seeing in the AI menu. All right. So here we go. Running it back. We got some positive changes. Hopefully moving in the right direction here. I'm not trying to speed run this update or anything, but I feel like we're moving at a good pace. And okay, so yep, everything is still looking good from my standpoint. These bad boys are all costing gold. If we open up the AI menu, they are now able to build some stuff. I gotta filter out naval, right? Because we don't want them building naval stuff. That's actually funny. What is that gonna do if it tries to spawn a boat? And how many Lords of Lancaster is it gonna make? Well, there's two versions of them for some reason. I'm gonna make it so they only spawn Lords of Lancaster and only spawn boats. I just want to see what happens, honestly, at this point. Yeah, it looks like there's some things we need to remove. Creating squad failed. AI controller .scar line 127. Well, that's kind of a predictable outcome. 127. What happened here? Yeah. My guess is one of those Lords of Lancaster units in there just wasn't correct. Or maybe it just tried to spawn too many. To that we can add a limit, right? Because how many... does the limit increase? Or is it only always 4? What did you try to spawn? I don't even know. Max of 4 Lords of Lancaster. I don't think that changes. Okay, so yeah, we broke the game. My guess is that it was unable to spawn the boats because there's nowhere to put the boats, right? I can't put the boats on land, so I just wanted to see what it did. I was kind of hoping that it would just spawn boats like halfway glitched on the ground, but apparently it just doesn't know what to do. So that's fair enough. Okay, so we need to check now. I guess there's fewer words that we have to filter by here. But we still need to filter out things. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new local and I'll say filtered entity table, right? And that's just gonna be this, and then local filtered squad table is gonna be this. And what we'll do is we'll just say for filter word in pairs. Because this is just a string, right? So that should work. Guess we still need the oh, that's why am I typing that there? Okay, so let's see. Filter word, we can just do K. Fair enough. And we can say local filtered equals false. And then okay, yeah. Just had a lock in there for a second, make sure I was typing this right. So basically what we're doing is we're creating this filtered entity table, and we're making sure that none of the filter words that we use, or none of the entities with the filter that contain the filter words are being searched through. Like, for example, in this case, there are naval units, like ships that it's trying to spawn. We don't want that to happen, so in our filter words we have the word naval. So it's basically saying we're going through each pair in the entity table. We're saying if the unit name contains any of these filter words, we're gonna filter it out. So if it's not filtered, then we're going to add it to the filtered entity table by using table dot. What is it? It's just table dot insert. Yeah. And we're gonna enter that into the filtered entity table, and that's gonna be entity, right? Position is gonna be I, and it's gonna be entity. So you want to retain the name, right? So this is gonna insert it at position I, so it's going to maintain the same position that it was before, and the position of the table is just the name of the entity. So I think that's going to be good. So this is basically filtering the entity table using filter words passed, and now we're going to do the same thing for the squad table, because that could also have words that we need to filter. So filter the squad table. Do we actually though? I don't think we need to filter the squad table, because this is just looping through the entity table, and if this initial squad table has more units than the entity table, then that's fine, because the entity table is just matching it by unit name. So I don't think we need to waste time filtering that one as well. I think this is going to work just fine as long as we make sure to loop through the filtered entity table instead of the unfiltered one. So let's just double check this makes sense. I entity filtered. For each filter word, we're saying if we can find that filter word in the entity name. Yeah, we're gonna have to string dot lower toString I here, because all my filter words are lowercase, so we're going to want to lowercase that. Best viewers on streamboot.com. No thanks. I'm good. Okay, yeah, so double checking that we do need the string lower there, and filter words already lower, so that's fine. I know because I hard coded those. And we're saying filtered, we're breaking. So if any of these words trip it up, it's filtered. If it's not filtered, then it inserts it into the table. Okay. Okay, so that's good. I think that's good. We are gonna need to debug and see where that extra Lord of Lancaster is coming from, though. I'm not sure how that's getting there. So if you noticed in the AI menu, there was 2 Lords of Lancaster that I could choose from to build, which shouldn't be the case, I think. But now we should at least have the boats out of there. now we should at least have the boats out of there. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I'm filtering by the word naval for the other civs. Alright, the House of Lancaster mirror matchup coming through once again. Okay. I forget that you can't do that. Right, in C# you can say if not true, Boolean value, but in this you can't. Which is fine. I mean, I just have to hit filtered equals false, then yeah. Just for clarity, I'm just going to call this filtered out. So, yeah, it's filtered out. That just makes more sense to my brain. So, that should work. That was the problem, is using the not equals there directly on the Boolean instead of doing it out here. So, I think that that should be fine now. Guys, now that I think about it, House of Lancaster is going to be the easier one, which is kind of why I decided to build out this new method for them specifically, because it'll be easier to track fewer units than all of the units that are included in the Templar. So once we get it working from this, that being said, I accidentally clicked the other team to be Templar there, I'm pretty sure. So we're not going to be able to test what the UI or what the AI menu looks like, unfortunately. I'm going to have to just back out and start a new game. That's right. You can only do position if it's a number. That's right. Okay, so what we need to do here is we'll just create a new local. This is like the only way I know how to do it. Insert equals. Can I do that? Does this work? I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to do it. Does it work though? I guess we'll find out. I hate to start it up and just have to reboot immediately, but I think this is how it works. The reason is because the 3-argument method of the insert only works if you're inserting a numerical position. It doesn't like it if you insert a string value to declare that table entry. So what I was doing is essentially just creating a variable there to basically define it as how it should be defined in the table. I guess we'll double check to make sure that's even gonna work. I think it should. I mean, it didn't yell at me. So we can go to when we're creating the entity itself. Okay. No, that's not gonna work. How did I do that over here? I think that should just be fine. I'm doing too much out here. Just work? No, I wouldn't think so. Yeah. There would just be the table wasn't defined correctly, so that would not work the way it was before. But yeah, this is just how you have to do that. Filtered entity table with this entity name equals this. Okay. I think we're good to go there. Guys, if you've ever programmed something, if you've ever dabbled in coding, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You could be like professional god tier programmer, and then the second somebody's like over your shoulder watching you type shit in, you just like lose all of your skill and ability to code it all. It's just how it happens. That's just code, by the way. I mean, I pretty much start and restart my games this many times anyways, so. Okay, so everything's costing gold. We're in a good spot here. Except for the upgrades, we haven't done those yet, so that's fair. Other than that, though, now we have unit lists. Hardened Spearman, Yeoman. That's all they can build, right? Yeah, I mean, they don't... I don't include scouts for the AI to build. Yeah, that's all they can build. And and feudal. So this is correct. Oh no, actually they can build Lord of Lancaster, but none of those are being included. I'll have to look into that. Let's see if they actually build an army, and they do. That's cool. Guys, we actually get to test. We actually get to mess around, right? Okay, so we got it pretty functional here. I mean, they're not gonna have any upgrades, but they are gonna build mostly the correct units, and they're not gonna try to like build boats or something. I mean, this army isn't gonna be very good. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't build all of the available units, so I'm just gonna get cooked here. Unless I'm not gonna get cooked. Those Lords of Lancaster are pretty nasty. What can he do for... How's his castle looking? Spearman, Yeoman. Okay, we got Earl's Guard in there. Let's go. Crossbow, Monk. You can have early hand cannoneers. Yeah. Springalds and Mangonels. That all looks good. As far as units go. This one already only costs gold. Sick. Yeah, Springald, Mangonel. Trebuchets and Rams are meant to be excluded, because there's no point in the AI building them in this game mode. One thing that is interesting, though, is the Sacred Site isn't spawning in the middle. I'm not sure how that's happening. Knights. Yeah, they have Knights, too. So you gotta figure out where the Lords of Lancaster went. Because we're going full Knights. Okay. Let's not get too distracted by playing the game. Because yeah, we know what to do here. So Lords of Lancaster are not included, but they were before, so they must be being filtered out, or they don't have a correct age. Let's take a look. So we're filtering entity blueprints. They're called Abbey King 2 Lancaster. Here, launch campaign king for the Abbey of Kings landmark. What are they? Unit King 1. Squad type. Why are these Scar Age 4? What units are actually their king? King, Scar Age 1. That's not it. Because they're called Lords of Lancaster. Squad type. It's got to be this one, right? Men at Arms. They are military, but they're set to be age 4. It's got to be these guys, right? But why do they not have upgraded versions of them? I'm confused. They're called the same thing? Okay. Because these guys should be Scar Age 2. Because you can build them in Feudal. So I think that's just a problem. I want to say that's just a problem. Why they're not showing up. Okay, so and now this is where we're gonna do like some custom logic here, because basically what we need to say is like these Abbey Kings should be age 2. I'm just confused at how this works. Are they always age 2? Because like if you look at unit spearmen, they have a different unit for each age. These look like they're supposed to be... But this is based on the knights. This is saying that the parent is the knight, but the unit type list is saying it's a man-at-arms, and it's a melee infantry. So I'm just very confused as to how this is actually working. Or, I guess... yeah, why it's named the way it is. Because this is the only thing it can be. This is the free one. Okay. I mean, I already have logic built in to say if that there's something that's only age 2, that it shows up in every age afterwards. So I think if I just set this Abbey King to manually to age feudal, that it should be fine. So we'll just say if string dot find, and it's unit type, we're just looking for unit, we'll just do Abbey King 2 underscore LAN. It's just like this, right? So we're just telling the AI controller that basically this Abbey King 2 Lancaster is a feudal age unit. So it should show up in the feudal age AI menu at this point, unless there's something else going on with it, which could be the case. I think the other thing that we need to do is, I mean, because everything else looked good as far as the units go. It was getting the right units. It was filtering them correctly. The only other thing is, I mean, I say only, but it's like half the battle at this point, is we need to generate the upgrades as well. And this kind of works in the same way. Now, The problem with this is that it's not getting any upgrades, which is interesting to me. So if we take a look at the attributes and we go to the upgrade table and we look at the races and we look at Lancaster and unique. Okay, so yeah, they named them differently. Nice. Every other civ. Research. Units. I guess not French. Research. It was always like research upgrade. And it was the name of the upgrade, right? Even though they're in different folders. I actually don't know. Are these named differently now? Huh. Races, Lancaster, unit tier. Okay, so we don't really need to do the unit tiers because the mod's already gonna have that in, but like based on like the units that it spawns for the age. Yeah, this should pull it in. I was just tripping, right? Because they should be in common and they should be in units, and races / race name will include all of the subfolders, or at least it should. So I think we should be fine here. I'm just interested to see exactly why none of them are showing up. So I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on with the upgrades that this logic probably needs to be changed as well. I mean, I could probably just include the common and the, yeah, just the common, and then use the upgrades table to get all the unique ones, because I feel like that's going to be the better way to do it. But yeah, that's going to be a whole separate thing. All right, let's not get distracted here too much. So what we should see is pretty much the unit side of things done for Lancaster, at least at this point. So let's just go ahead and boot up. We're going to start a game, and then we're going to take a look at what the upgrades are doing. Like what upgrades it's getting when it searches for those civs, and how they're getting filtered out. Because when I open well, because when I start with the civ, none of the upgrades have their cost change, which means it's not getting the right blueprint. So it's just generally not pulling them in correctly, and I'm wondering what the difference is for these civs as opposed to how it works for the previous ones, which seems to be a common theme. I also want to double check some of the other civs to make sure that they're working. I don't know if anybody who's watching now has tested out the mod since the new update. Imagine it wouldn't do anything at all for the new civs under the current version, but at least for the previous civs, I was under the impression that it was still working. Okay, so we're generating the spawnable squads. Everything is good in here. I'm pretty sure. Let's make sure we have the Lord of Lancaster is still age 4. That's the free one. Did I spell it wrong? Just go to the end of this method because it will have a cleaner version of this for us to look. We want to look at archetype map. So Man at Arms has the Earl's Guard. Ah, I see. Is it under the Knights? Oh, it is under the Knights. See, that's so weird. Why is this guy considered a knight, is my question. Should not be considered a knight. He might just be available in feudal based on that. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, these look like all the Lancaster upgrades. Pulling in correctly. What about the common ones? I mean, looks good. So is it getting the upgrade blueprint? Yeah. Civ upgrade name. Lancaster upgrade. Oh, okay. So let's take a look at the upgrade. Make sure that they are labeled as Lancaster upgrades. No. Okay, so they're English upgrades. Even though this is just completely different civ. Okay. I guess it's not as different as Templars, but it's pretty different. But they're still called the English upgrades. Okay, so that's the problem here then. Because it's saying if blueprint is of upgrade type, civ upgrade name. This is just so it's so messy, honestly. but there's just not a whole lot of consistency in how things are named. So and what tags they have on them. So it's hard to make a dynamic method that just is exception free. And this is what I mean, like it was probably easier to just statically type everything out in the first place, but even then, or use like the table references, but even then there are some exceptions that have to be changed. So at this point it's like, do I even want to go back and try to refactor if there's just going to be a whole new set of problems and like things that I have to change like this. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm saying if the race name is Lancaster, we want to check that the blueprint is of upgrade type English, right? So if for some reason the upgrade is under Lancaster for some of them, it will be fine, but also if it is Lancaster and it's English, we're going to accept that, because I have a feeling that most of these upgrades are going to be English upgrades instead of Lancaster upgrades. Like even Manor Gold, these are unique upgrades, but they're English upgrades. So now that we know that, honestly, that's going to be less work than I thought it would be. Because basically it's saying if this check doesn't pass, then it's not going to be able to include that upgrade at all. So that's an important one to get past. And it is grabbing all of the Lancaster upgrades from the original logic here. So I don't think I have to change anything here. I don't think it would be easy or I guess useful at this point to change anything there. So I'm just gonna detach from this and I'm gonna see what the AI thinks. Can they build the Lord of Lancaster? It can. Okay, so that's good. I have a feeling though that they're not going to be able to build it in Castle. And the reason is because the archetype mapping thinks that it's a knight. And since they have a knight that's usable in Castle, they're not going to know to pick up the Feudal Age Lord of Lancaster because it thinks it already has a knight. So I'm just going to make a separate category, honestly, for those in the archetype mapping. And I'm just going to have them be Lord of Lancaster. Because they probably shouldn't be listed under knights in the first place. Because, well, they're not knights. Okay, so yeah, they can build a lot of Lords of Lancaster by the looks, and some of them are invisible. So that's kind of goofy. There's definitely one variation of the unit that's broken. I don't have a synchronized shot. Yeah, I might just get cooked here. He's got a lot of Lords of Lancaster. Okay, so yeah, I mean that upgrade stuff should just fix all the upgrades, assuming there aren't some exceptions somewhere. And we're just gonna go ahead and look into this archetype mapping method, and we're just gonna create one for the Lord of Lancaster. Yeah, and I just name these the way I name them. This is just gonna be Lords of Lancaster. This is literally just gonna be Lancaster.units Abbey King 2. That's that should be good. That'll split them into their separate group, so they won't be grouped with the knights anymore. That's interesting, though. Because it is included in the knights list. So I wonder how that's going to work. It'll probably be included in both of them. Okay, well, we'll just give that a shot. I think there might be 2 versions of it that show up, but potentially not. And the other thing we need to do is get rid of the reference to free, like the free Lancaster one, because I think that's what's causing those invisible ones to happen. And we'll just say, like, if race name is Lancaster, we're filter words dot add insert. Just inserts. Just table dot insert. Yeah. Table dot insert. Filter words, and then what was the name of this blueprint? The free one. It's Abbey King free. So we're just saying we want to filter out the free version. And let's take a look at the AI controller, because this is the logic that gets the squads by age. So it goes by archetypes. Adds units from the current age. And if they haven't added a unit, they will add previous ones. But because the Lords of Lancaster are technically considered knights, and they only have an existing unit for the second age, for some reason, they're not going to be included in that, right? Because it's going to grab the knights from castle, and then since they're in the same archetype group, it's not going to try to add the feudal age king. So we do need to have them in a separate group, but at the same time we need to remove them from the knight group, because then they'll show up twice. Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. So we have to remove them from the archetype mapping. Okay, so it's mapping the member name here. String not find unit type member name. So we got to figure out what the archetype name is. I'm pretty sure it's just knights. So we want to say if the unit type, it's a very specific exception here, because this isn't a problem for anything else as far as I know. I guess we haven't gotten to Templar yet, but I have the name here somewhere. Yeah, Abbey King Tulan. So we want to say if string dot find in unit type, we find Abbey, then so we don't want to include it in night. They don't have a continue. This probably might not be the best way to do it. I mean, it's adding an additional check here, but I don't see another way around it, because we don't want it to be included in the night category. because it's not a knight in the first place. And I don't have a tuning pack, so I can't just update in there. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I'm just going to say if the unit type is Abbey King 2 Lancaster, then it's not going to be included with the knight archetype. Which I think it's just called the knight archetype. I might have to restart and double check the name on that. But we will be able to see pretty clearly what that's going to look like at the end of this method. So we'll just have to debug that. And at this point, we should also, so we're going to be checking that, but we're also going to be looking at the upgrades. Because I think at this point, at least some of them should be costing gold now, because they're going to be included in the list for Lancaster, even though they're technically English upgrades according to the blueprint system. So we'll have to double check both of those things. And I'm hoping the upgrade process will go smoothly here, because it looked like they had all they needed in their folder. It was just under English, so hopefully that's good to go, and hopefully we have the Lord of Lancaster here working. And then the good news, if we have that working, we're able to just jump over to Templar right away and see if we have things set up correctly for them as well. Okay. Okay. So we've still got incorrect costs. Blacksmith, incorrect costs. Unit costs are correct. Hey, we've got one Lord of Lancaster. We've got two spearmen. Interesting. I forgot to they have their Dark Age spearmen. Interesting. Was that always like that? I didn't notice that before. Yeah, we still don't have our upgrades though. Let's see what they build. Yeah, Lord of Lancaster they have 6 of, which is incorrect. Oh, I forgot to check what their upgrades were. Yeah, they still don't have any upgrades. Okay. Okay, so I'm actually going to debug this, and I'm going to make sure... I think the archetype mapping is set up correctly based on that working. We still don't have a limit though. We didn't put a limit. Okay, that's just because we didn't put a limit on those guys. So we might as well... Shoot. Yeah, we might as well just do the limit at the same time down here if we're already checking for the Lord of Lancaster, right? So we'll do the squad age and we'll do the unit limit equals 4, right? You only get 4 of them. As far as I know, that doesn't change. So we won't be able to debug in here because we just changed code, but that's fine. Oh, maybe it's not fine because the blueprint generator is in the same class. I forgot about that. Okay, yeah. Might be some issues here. Whoops. Yeah, because the player upgrades list is below that method, unfortunately, so that's fine. We'll just have to restart. Not super efficient, but yeah, at least we have the units cooking. We'll have to figure out, because it made it through that, it should make it through that breakpoint here on the upgrades list, or race name equals Lancaster and blueprint is of upgrade type English. So these are the ones that we should, if they're not filtered and they're chosen, then we get the information. So then we'll go here to this check, and then we'll jump down here, and I guess, yeah, they have Imperial Age upgrade. Oh. Okay, so yeah, that's what the issue is. Every upgrade for Lancaster is an Imperial Age upgrade, apparently. Cool. What about this Castle Age upgrade? That's a Castle Age upgrade, okay. Just all of these guys, all the unique ones are Imperial Age. I'm pretty sure Billman is feudal, I'm not gonna lie. And then we'll have to see what's going on with their common upgrades, right? Because common units or common research, were these civs just not added? Oh, yeah, that's the problem. Crusader campaign upgrade. I mean, there's still English upgrades, so they should be included. Like they aren't Lancaster upgrades. Oh, I think there's actually one other place where I checked that. Get age appropriate upgrades. No. Yeah, I'll just have to debug through this, honestly, at this point. It's gonna be incorrect again, but at least at this point we'll be able to see what it's doing. Because it's definitely pulling in the upgrades from up here. And it's getting down to the upgrades that it needs to actually do something with, right? And then it's checking. Yeah, it's checking if the race name is Lancaster and the upgrade blueprint is of type English, so it should be at the very least getting the common upgrades because they're labeled as English upgrades. So yeah, something weird's going on there. I haven't changed my upgrade logic at all, so there shouldn't be anything with these new changes that would be affecting it. It would just be a difference of how these new civs were defined, if they're defined differently than the previous ones, or if there's, I guess I'm not sure. Maybe I just didn't build my changes from last time. So we should have a breakpoint at the next method. Which we do. So I'm just gonna double check. Okay. So this is upgrading their horsemen. So none of those. Race name is Lancaster, so this should be of type English. It's not. Why? Did I type these wrong? Do you guys see it? I see it. I think that's gonna do it. Because they're technically English upgrades, right? They're not just English. They're English upgrades. Oh, okay. So, nice. Simple enough. So that's why none of these are getting through. Okay. It all makes sense now. I thought I had a breakpoint at the end of this method. I must have took it away. But we do have the archetype map, so we can see we've got Lords of Lancaster group. And we've got the Lord of Lancaster in there. Now take a look at the Knights. Okay, we still do have this. This is still in here. Okay. And this gets me, man. Horseman spelled wrong. We can't do anything about that. Knights. Archetype names. Yeah, this should be our archetype name. Okay, so that should fix that. What up, Jawa Lies Matter 1? What problem you run into? Lots of them. No, I mean, like, tonight I'm just planning on adding the new civs to the Micro Mayhem mod. So it's just kind of been a process. Because for some reason, like, all of the things are named differently than all of the other civs, so mostly it's just been like finding the right like unit and building names. But I mean, I think I'm cooking at this point though, because I got all the units built in. It should be for Lancaster, and hopefully I boot this up this time and all the upgrades are showing up. And then I'm probably gonna have to make some changes. Like, I haven't even done the Templar yet, but So we'll see. We'll see how all of their units are named. Like, they could be anything. I haven't even looked. I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared to look at them. Yeah, dude, I haven't even looked at Templar beyond that, but yeah, now that you say that, I'm probably gonna have to have them spawn with the TC. Oh, look at this, boys. Wait, why is this upgrade? All of the upgrades are gold. Except for except for feudal spearmen. Why? Okay, wait. No, veteran Hobilar. They're food too. Interesting. What does the AI menu look like? Looks correct. I don't have any unique upgrades. I have Billman. Needs to be set. So we needed Billman in feudal and upgrades. All the standard ones. We need synchronized shot in castle. Oh yeah, and like all of these ones. For some reason, also with Lancaster, every single one of their unique upgrades is labeled as a Imperial Age upgrade. So these are all gold. So we'll just jump down into the upgrade method, and you see all of these ones that are labeled with the incorrect ages. We'll just add some more to the list here. Let's just look at the screen name. So I'm just gonna type these in off screen right now. Cause that one was just called Billman. And that's a feudal upgrade. This one is synchronized shot. Castle. Oh, and then literally all of these ones. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the good news is those are pretty easy to just change the age of those upgrades. We just have to add them to this list. So screen name, I think it's just like this. we shouldn't have to change any of the common ones, so we'll just go over to where are they at? Lancaster. The one upgrade might be kind of busted where they're just way better around the sacred sites. Yeah, it might be. It might be. I haven't even looked at, like, yeah, you mentioned the age up. That's different. So there's gonna have to be a system where they don't age up automatically, but they age up for free each round, and that'll be different than that will require some custom logic outside of just getting the units and upgrades set up, because I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna do that. But let's see, as far as these upgrades, we should be able to see the screen names, so we'll just make sure we get that copied over here. Yeah, that's fine. This was for sure. Wait, synchronize shots. Copy that. Make sure we're not having any spelling errors in there. So then there was like, no, my goodness, not that. All right. I guess we can copy it from over there. That's sick. Just put that on a different screen, I guess. And sync. Like that. And then there was like 6 of the King's College. 6 of those upgrades for Castle, and I thought one was Imp. Not that you need like the ship upgrade to be even included there. Burgundian imports. That's gotta be, that's a Castle Age tech. So really we just got Billman. This is Castle. I guess I could have done that for each of these. We've got Burgundian imports. Then we got condensed land practices. Those are the manor upgrades. I don't need to bother with those. We got hill training. Manor gold, don't need to bother with. Military tactics training. Let's see. I think that's Castle. And then Padded Jack. That one I think I couldn't get until Imp, I want to say. Okay, puncture throw. Throwing dagger drills. Not gonna lie, boss, I don't know. I do not know. I'm just gonna put that down for Castle and then can update that if it's incorrect. Ships of the Crown, I don't care about. Any of the levy abilities, those aren't gonna be used for the mod. Warwolf Trebuchet, don't really care about. For the AI at least. And I think that's pretty much all of the upgrades we care about for Lancaster. We got the Billman, Synchronized Shot, Burgundian Imports, which I don't think matters for the AI even, unless it gives like gunpowder units extra damage, because they'll still be able to spawn the hand cannoneers. Then hill training, military tactics training, throwing dagger drills, and padded jack, I think are the other castle ones. That ships one was a imp upgrade, but I'm not gonna bother with that. So now I think we should be at a good point. We're just gonna go ahead and build this, and we'll give it another shot. Guys, this is taking a little bit longer than I might have anticipated. Might have to break this up into 2 separate streams. We'll see though. You know, I might just plug in Templar and like everything's good to go. Everything was just coded in a way that makes sense. It's probably not gonna happen. I'm not prepared for that to happen. If I just plugged in Templar and everything worked, yeah, that'd be crazy. I know we're gonna have to change the upgrades. Because, I mean, if they didn't bother to put the correct age for any of the Lancaster ones, I don't know if they're gonna put the correct age for any of the Templar ones. But just taking a look at this, Billman is the only additional tech that we have here in this age. That makes sense, so that should be the only one the AI has additionally, and that is correct. So we're doing good there. Yeah, I'm just checking the upgrades right now. Don't really need this army. RIP. Now just make sure the units look good. For some reason, there's 2 spearmen here. I'll also fix that. Oh, I'm looking at his base. Okay, so what are the upgrades that we get over here? Okay, their upgrades are still costing food. Interesting. Okay, so additionally, we should have Synchronized Shot. We should have Hill Training. Let's just check their menu. Burgundian Imports is there. Hill Training we got. Military Tactics Training. Throwing Dagger Drills. That's got to be an imp one. Yep. Throwing Daggers, imp. And then we have larger trebuchets and Collar of Essus. Okay, so we need to make that a castle, and we need to make this an imp. But other than that, yeah, everything's looking good. We actually need to remove some of these upgrades because we don't want you to have to sort through them from the menu. Like, for example, condensed land practices, right? That's not gonna matter for Micro Mayhem, so I'm just gonna add that to the filter list. open field system's gonna be removed too. What does scootage do? Scuddage? Yeah, we can get rid of that. Padded Jack is a good one. Ships of the Crown we don't need. Warwolf we don't need. Ships. I guess now that the game's over, I can keep the upgrade open. Upgrade. Hey yo, maybe not. How does my mod work? What is happening? I think after the defeat goes away, I can. Yeah, okay. So we also don't want to include Ships of the Crown. We don't want to include muster the nobles. Right, because none of the mustering even matters when you can just build units instantly anyways. I guess it would reduce the cost, but I mean, this might be the only game mode where Lancaster is balanced. It might be. You can't have broken eco when there's literally no eco. And we'll get rid of Warwolf Trebucket. Get that out of there. So I'm typing on the other screen right now, but essentially what I'm doing there is I've got. We'll just quit out of here for a second. I've just got this ignore list, right? That's like, hey, you know, if you made it to this point on the AI menu and you probably shouldn't be there, just type in the name here and then it'll go away. So now next time we boot that up, none of these should be on there, which is cool. Now we need to go back to the blueprint generator over here, and where did I do that? It was literally right here. Throwing dagger drills needs to be age_imperial, and the other one was called, it was the Collar of Essus one. Screen name, Collar of Essus. I think that's right. Yeah. And does Burgundian imports actually do anything other than just let you build hand cannoneers in Castle? I'm not sure. I'll double check. But I think that's pretty much Lancaster done at this point. We've got all the units. We should have all the upgrades ironed out now. Yeah, honestly, that might be a good stopping point here, if we get Lancaster working, because I have a feeling if I start working on Templar, it's gonna be a little bit longer. We'll see though. Hopefully we're just good to go here. We'll actually try to play a game out here. Yeah, we'll get Billman. Actually, what we need to do is we need to kill the first Lord of Lancaster they get. We'll get this. We'll build like some... Oh shoot, yeah, I forgot we needed to do that as well. We'll just get an army of those guys and then get an army of these guys. Oh, and there's no sacred site in the middle. I forgot about that. I don't know what's going on with that. So it's Spearman Hardened upgrade. Is that not listed as an English upgrade? Guys, I'm cooked. I feel like they had a bigger army than I did. Maybe I'm just trash. Okay, we'll take a look, make sure that their upgrades look good. Say they have Burgundian imports, Collar of Essus, Hill training, military tactics training, synchronized shot. And that all looks correct. Oh, it reduces hand cannoneer cost. Okay, so that's got to stay in. Does this actually work though with my mod? So they're 240. Now they're still 240. Fair enough. Yeah, synchronized shot, werewolf trebuchet, military tactics training. Yeah, all those upgrades look good. Throwing dagger drills, make sure that's up here. So we got yeah, padded jack and imp. We got all the standard ones. Padded jack and throwing dagger drills. Okay, so all of their upgrades look right. For some reason, just the Hoblar, and Spearman upgrades aren't working. Interesting. So we'll take a look at the resource helper. This is where the mess of code comes in here. Which I haven't had it apply for upgrades before though, right? Set upgrade cost. Is it just not including those upgrades? Used to unlock the Hussar. Okay. Are you serious? Why are these Ottoman upgrades? Why are these listed as Ottoman upgrades? What? Sure. To calculate resource, okay. So I guess we have to check if they're Ottoman upgrades as well. But at the same time, that's so weird. Yeah, because then why would the Spearman upgrade be like that? Okay. So English don't have a Spearman 2 upgrade, or it's not listed as their upgrade type. So I guess it should fix it if I also include Ottoman upgrades for Lancaster Civ, because for some reason they're listed that way. So I will check if their upgrade is of type English or if it's of type Ottoman. Just gonna let that line of code speak for itself. Look, I can get I can get that it's an English upgrade, right? That's the civ that it's technically a variant of. That makes at least a little bit of sense to me. But the Ottoman is kind of out of left field. I never would have suspected that I would be needing to verify that. I don't know. It's an Ottoman upgrade on House of Lancaster. Is there some historical precedence for that? I don't think the Ottomans ended up taking over the House of Lancaster. But, you know, I could be wrong. Yeah. Okay. That works. We're back in business. Okay, now I just want to make sure, do one final test. Well, not like... I'm just going to make sure that the unit costs are being correctly set. So I'm going to set the pop cap to 200. And yeah, we'll just do custom. So there should be, but I'm just going to set the gold limit to like what? 6,000. Why not? All I'm doing here is I'm making sure that the cost of the units that the AI is building are the same cost of the units that I'm building. Just so like the armies are under the same constraints. The population cap I'm not as worried about because that should always just be fine in the first place. So the way I'm going to do this is because the AI actually gets free upgrades. So when you're playing lower resource counts, it's tougher to beat the AI, just because they do have every upgrade for free. So what I'm going to do here is not get any upgrades, and I'm just going to build, let's just test it with the Yeoman, right? I'm going to build as many as I can with this bankroll. And I'm going to go over to the AI, and I'm going to say, hey, you can only build the Yeoman, right? And I'm gonna just make sure that the army counts match. So we should have 66 and 1 Lord of Lancaster. And then we're also gonna go ahead and change this spearman so that it's not age 1 and 2 in feudal. Like, it should just be hardened spearman at this point. Yeah, 66 is right. And it does kill the Lord of Lancaster for the AI. It's just got to do that for 4 players too. So yeah, it looks like, I mean, the costs are matching up. There shouldn't be any issues there. The only difference in army is that the AI gets upgrades for free. So if you want to test even armies, you just have to turn the upgrades off in the AI menu. Keep in mind, this is him with all the upgrades. I didn't get any upgrades. So you can see, like, even though I microed, I guess halfway through the battle, them to attack different archers, they're just still cooking because they've got, I mean, that's just how much difference the upgrades make. Progress since last time? Yeah, House of Lancaster is pretty much done at this point. We're good to go. Got all the upgrades in the right ages. Got all the units for the most part in the right. Well, they're all in the right ages right now. The only thing I got to do is make sure the spearmen don't show up. Right now, the Dark Age Spearmen and the Feudal Age Spearmen are showing up for the AI in Feudal, but other than that, they're pretty much good. So we don't... The standard precedent for how this has been set up is like the Japanese township landmark gives you the free shinobi, but I just kill it. So I'm gonna do that same thing with the free lord that they get, because they don't want to give them a free one, I guess. The whole point is equal cost armies, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. I think I want to say this happens in what am I looking for? Update Micro Masters all the way at the top. Here we go. Yeah. If player name is Japanese, just kill all their squads when they spawn. Lancaster. So we'll just make sure to kill all the squads when they spawn. Boom. And then so let's see, this is the upgrade section. Upgrades are all good. Units are pretty good. We just need to set the age of the spearmen, whichever one it is. So where are their spearmen? Yeah, see, they have 2 feudal age spearmen, I guess, or at least 2 that are marked as age 2, even though this one is their dark age 1. So we're just gonna say if it's unit spearman 1 LAN, unit spearman 1. Actually, I'm gonna just do spearman 1 LAN squad. I think it's just age_dark. Yeah. So we'll just make sure that their spearman is under the correct age. I don't think there's an issue on there now. All right. Let's just build that one more time for good luck. And yeah, it's already getting pretty late, so we'll just jump on. Probably Wednesday would be the next time I'm available to work on this. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think this is Lancaster updated completely. We're just going to boot it up one more time. Play around against the AI. We're just going to do PopCap. And see what happens. Hopefully everything's working as it should be. Pretty much the only thing that needed to be changed there was the spearman being in the correct age, and the you don't get the free Lord of Lancaster. So we should jump in here and he should tip over, and this is competitive. All right. Okay, yeah, he died. The crown is just there still. So actually, I'm just gonna straight up do, just because I want this to be as even as possible. I'm just gonna do a bunch of archers. Look at some of these guys. Why not? Look at some of these guys. I guess they will get the veteran ones for free. So I kind of got to do the veterans. We'll get some of these guys. Found the best army comp for this game mode is just units of each type. So I mean, he'll build anything. They just won't be upgraded like mine. So 20. Yeah, it seems like a pretty even army. Expense-wise, looks good. Do a little... do a little cooking, maybe. There we go. Easy enough. Feudal Age dub. I don't know what I made the gold counts for the rest of this match, so it could get a little dumb, but hey, everything's looking good so far, at least mod function wise. I think, don't want to speak too soon, but yeah, we ended up picking up the win there, and we're able to... I guess we'll give them the upgrades this time. It's a little bit... Oh, we don't even have resources really to do castle here, because I forgot I set them both to... We'll give them at least, like, the standard ones. I'm just going to make a bunch of Earl's Guards here. That's all I'm doing. Just for the memes. I've never used these guys before, so I could get cooked. Tough infantry with good damage. Periodically throws daggers at nearby enemies. High armor, slow movement, countered by knights, lancers, and crossbowmen. So yeah, I'm just probably gonna get cooked. I mean, generally when you make only one of every unit. Like, what is this guy pumping out? He's got 3 lords. He's got early hand cannoneers. Just make sure this army makes sense. Like, yeah, unit-wise, all of those you can build. There is no sacred sites in the middle, though. So I don't know how that's happening. Dude, am I just cooking with this army? These units OP or what? No, I'm not cooking that hard. I should have gone for the siege there first, I think. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean all their upgrades are on point. Pat a Jack and Throwing Dagger were the only unique ones. And now we've just got max gold, so we can just match the AI pop cap wise. Just go all out for this last one. Might as well get 3 lords, 4 lords. We'll let them build whatever they want. Make sure to get all the university upgrades. Upgrade these bad boys. What am I gonna do here though? Oh, we can't forget these. I'll just get a little detachment of horsemen over here. Dude, just absolutely a bunch of scrambles, mangonels, just toxic army. And then, oh yeah, just all these guys, just infinite yeomen. And we're gonna see how it works. I mean, guys, they're in there. Everything's looking good. Except they can't build Rebaldequins. Or Bombards. We gotta get rid of Rebaldequins and Bombards. That's the last thing. What do they got out here? They got Springalds, they got Culverins, they got Bombards, they got Rebaldequins. Yeah. So Culverins and... Or no, Bombards and Rebaldequins they can't build. Other than that, they're just fine. I just realized I don't have like a front line at all. Other than horsemen. This could be a problem. I don't think this is going to be a problem. Oh my. Well, it was a valiant effort. Turns out making Yeoman in Imperial is not the best idea. But there we go. Cooked by the AI yet again, as is tradition. Can't even blame the resources on that one. Yeah. But we're pretty much done now with Lancaster. That is, it is too late for me to start on the Templar tonight, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at that. We will actually, now that I think about it, yeah, this method is it's much nicer, I think, to do it this way, but we still need like this logic here to add the filter words and stuff, because for some reason they're listed with units that they can't build. So I think we're just gonna go, because we add the filter words here. Oh, I can just do this. Yeah, they can't build cannons or Rebaldequins, so we'll just get rid of those. And Lancaster now is included in the mod. It won't be in the live version yet, just because I need to, I want to include Templar with them as well. So hopefully sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, I'll be able to hop on and get going with the Templar. But thanks to those of you who tuned into the stream, and yeah, look forward to doing the